The biggest question we get asked is what's the difference between ice cream and gelato? There's a huge difference. Ice cream on this hand has between 28 and 30% fat. Gelato only has 7, so you can eat 4 times as much or just not feel so guilty. And the second difference is the amount of air. Ice cream has 60% air and gelato has less than 20% air. So you can get a product like this of gelato and you can make it look that big by injecting air. Air is great for breathing. We need it, but eating it, you don't need that. The third difference is temperature. Ice cream served a lot colder, so you're taking that spoon and you're bending it in there, putting it in warm water and bending it, so it's served at minus 18. Gelato served warm at minus 11. So a lot less air, a lot less fat, and a lot warmer. Better for you. Gelato for me was really about a product that you can add personality. It's an outlet. Gelato is a great outlet for being creative. It's not about following someone else's recipe. It's about working with your local farmers, staying in season. When it's raining out, you work with different flavors. We don't crave lemonade in the winter, and we don't crave hot stews in the summer. So when it rains out here in Vancouver or anywhere in the cold, we can change our flavors with the season. And that was a beautiful part about it, is that you could make anything you wanted to. It was really a wide open culinary palette. Learning my trade in Italy, I went to the Italian Culinary Institute down in the south, and then I went to Gelato University. There is a Gelato University, that's right. It's Carpigiani Gelato University. It's the largest in the world. 14,000 students have gone through that university. Over 50% of them are non-Italian. And you basically go to university and you study. You can take lots of programs, and I took every program I could. I took my internship. I even took a master's with chocolate and alcohol infusions. Yeah, you can learn about chocolate and alcohol at a university in Italy, and I did that. They would teach you how to make gelato in the early stages of my education, about taking a bag and tearing it open, pouring in the milk, putting it in a machine. It would come out real fast, and I would sit in class and go, "What's in the bag?" And they would say, "Don't worry, everybody uses it. That's industry, it's safe." I actually went into the garbage bags at night, and I would cut out all the ingredient lists from all these industrial powders. I would come back the next morning fully armed and ask such questions as, what's monodiglycerides, and what's soy lecithins, and what's carrageenes, and do you really need it? I was then asked to leave the classroom and was given some private lessons because I was way ahead of everybody else. I was a difficult student. I asked the questions and challenged the status quo. And then I did something really unusual. I traveled around the back roads of Italy, and I went to see people who had written books, who had won world championships and chocolate championships, and I volunteered to help from cleaning the floor to doing anything. And I learned an old-fashioned way. I put my time in. Most gelato places have these big piles of gelato with chocolate bars and jams put in it, and it looks kind of sweet. It's kind of appealing to that diabetic side of our sugar profile. And in Italy, that first night, I went and I saw these piles of gelato, and I didn't really get appealed to the Snicker bars or the chocolate bars stuck inside or the candy or the plastic fruit. And then I saw this gelato that was covered. Oh, why couldn't I see it? And then somebody said something to me that night that changed my life forever. You can't see our gelato. The reason being is just like your own fridge and freezer, you cover things up. Imagine putting a glass of milk and a piece of fish, a salad and a piece of bread in your fridge and don't cover it up and open that fridge later. Well, everything's been damaged and ruined, so why would you display gelato to the same damages of a fridge and freezer unless you're trying to sell it and how pretty it is? And it shouldn't be about how pretty it is. It should be about how great it tastes, because a pretty gelato that tastes bad still tastes bad. There's this battle between the industrial world and the artisan world, between faster, quicker, cheaper, and making it from scratch and respecting the contents and the ingredients. And I think that's a battle that's now on the tables and the plates of consumers worldwide. They want to know, what's in it? Do I need to eat this? And why is there so many X, Y's, and Z's in this ingredient? And when you read the ingredient bags of the industrial world in gelato, and the last word, it says flavors. Come on, seriously, what's a flavor? Do you really need to use that? Do you tear open a bag, pour in water and milk, and you just throw it in a machine and bing, 18 minutes, it's done? Well, why would you do that when you can take the time to put all your ingredients and milk and warm it up like on a stove for a few minutes or so and get all those ingredients meld together and let it sit for a couple hours, and then turn that into a gelato. And put it into an old style machine that takes time to slowly massage it and to make it into a gelato. Our gelato, when it goes through that machine and it's churning gently and softly and getting creamy and structured, there's very little air. So we create a product in an old style machine that is very different from most in the world. And yes, it takes more time, but passion is worth that time. For me here in Vancouver, I'm merely a guardian. I'm a custodian of an old world process, and I'm protecting it against an industrialized world. It's a privilege. There'll be people after me, there's people before me. I just happen to be the person that's won a lot of awards around the world, but at the end of the day, I am still just a custodian. I am protecting this art, and I do that with every breath.